Okay, let's begin. Let's begin. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining GAA's weekly webinar. Apologies we didn't have one last week, but we've got a fantastic session planned for you for today. We're lucky to have Rasmita Gohil back with us. She last presented in September. And I think it's a very, very important topic that we're going to be talking about. And I do like Rasmita's heading, which is don't fall for it. Don't fall for scams. And the idea today is to talk about how we can spot scams and how we can stop scams. You might have seen the agenda that we also talked a little bit about the psychology behind scammer tactics. What is it these scammers are looking to do? Why are they targeting individuals? And Rasmita will touch upon that a little bit. We're of course going to talk about the types of scams, and she was just alerting us to a new one, the 3-second scam. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And importantly, how can we prepare ourselves and protect ourselves? So maybe some practical tips on how to protect against scams and having our money taken away. So we've got a really packed agenda, and we're sort of break this up into two bits. I mean, we're giving an hour to this session, and we want to keep it very interactive. We want your questions. We want to hear from you. If we think we need another session next week, we can arrange for that. So don't feel you need to rush everything. Let's use the time wisely, but let's be sensible, and we can try to rearrange for another session with this very important topic. So I'm going to introduce Rasmita, who for people that don't know, is a very, very experienced banker, financier, worked at some amazing institutions and well-known institutions, HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland and Moody's, and has over 40 years of experience in this sector. She lectures, she talks to corporates, she talks to individuals. We're very lucky and fortunate that she comes to our events and comes to lots of other communities to try to educate people and raise awareness. Rasmita, do you want to say anything else before I want to run a poll for people, but in terms of introductions, anything else I've missed out?
No, that's fine. It's for me, I say it breaks my heart when I see people, innocent people being, scammed and what have you. So whilst I do a number of different training programs, this is one that for the communities, the elderly community, but not just the elderly community, anybody, anybody can get scammed. For me, it's important. So yeah, my background is very much in banking and finance, but I have a wider background as well. But this is really important. It's more about trying to get the message across. Key thing is, like Kamlesh has said, please ask questions. Don't feel, oh, right, you're interrupting me. Doesn't matter. They'll keep an eye on the chat, and if there's a question, put your hand up or just come on audio and ask the question. I'd rather you ask a question and be comfortable with what you've, that you're satisfied with what you've heard, than wait and think, oh my God, I should have asked the question. So don't worry. Like Kamlesh said, we can do another session and carry on.
Okay, but I just reminded me in terms of housekeeping, we are recording this. So if you feel uncomfortable with it being recorded, then please sign off the call. The topic will be available to replay in the recording, but just need to let you know that. And as Rasmita said, if you need to ask questions, you've got two ways of doing that. Either put your hand up electronically, or put your questions into the chat. Let's make it interactive. But let's start with this, if you don't mind. I like my poll, and I've launched a question which basically says, are you nervous about being scammed? And let's see what you think. Okay. So are you nervous about being scammed? I put 3 responses here. One is yes, one is no, of course. And actually, there's an important one, which is I don't really understand what a scam is. And that's okay to own up to that, because, this is what we're here for. We're trying to educate people, on this. So I know there's more people than the 10 that are answering the poll. Let's give it a minute or two. But it's interesting, isn't it, Rasmus, that we can see here a massive percentage of people are nervous about
nervous.
being scammed.
Yeah.
And this
Especially
is,
when they don't know there's newer scams coming out all the time.
yeah, and just before the call started, Rasmita and I were talking just about situations where I think as you get a bit older, these scams tend to be around technology, your computer, your phone, and you're not really sure what to do, and that makes you even more nervous and more anxious, and not good for the health. So okay, so let's say we've got a good percentage, good half of the participants have responded, and you can see 88% are scared or nervous about being scammed. So let's end that poll. I want to ask another question, if I may. Okay. Which is again on scams, but I want to see if people, let's see if I can get this going. If I'm going to launch this one, and this one is just, has anyone in this group been scammed in the last 6 months by phone, by computer, by any other means? And I've picked 6 months because it's roughly the time when we last had Rasmita on. And I know I was saying that I had received a message by text only today. Um, this is quite interesting. So we're getting a lot of people coming in. I'm sure we can get more than 10 respondents here. And it's okay to own up if you have been scammed, but here we've got a large percentage saying no, which means I think we've got a very educated group of people, right?
Which is good. Which is
Okay,
good.
let me end the poll and I'm going to hand over to you, Rasmita. Why don't
Yeah.
you go
Yeah.
with your deck there?
I
Thank you so
just,
much.
yeah.
Thank you for participating in the poll, everybody.
Okay. Let me take that off. I want to share the screen. All right. Can you all see that, everybody? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can, if you
Yes,
and
we
Kamlesh,
can.
right? Perfect. Okay.
We can.
So, as Kamlesh has said, um, virtual presentation, don't fall for it is I think is a classic line. We automatically, we don't even realize, subconsciously unaware, fall for it. Why I say this is an essential guide, I have kind of clipped it to a degree, to try to make it a bit not just interactive, but a language that is easier to understand, because there's some terminology that you're probably not aware of, and I don't want to use jargon so much. So if I do use jargon, or if I use words that you don't understand, please feel free to say, what does that mean? Okay, don't just jump in and say, I don't understand that. Don't be shy, and don't think you're feeling silly or stupid. This is not, it doesn't matter. We all learn from this. So welcome to this. I'm not gonna, I think we've kind of covered this. I am gonna just go through. We've done the introduction, why this matters to everyone. It is everyone. Why we talk about the different communities, different age groups, demographics. It applies to everyone, and there are so many different types of scams. And while some of them you might be aware of, and I will go through them, but not in as much detail. But I will go through a new one that's I say new one. It's been around, but you may not be aware of it. So I want to bring it to light, the warning signs, what to do, and I've got some help and support numbers for if you do get scammed, or if you're suspicious in any way, who to contact. And there's a checklist, and as this is going to be on YouTube, the checklist will be there. But we can always provide, I can give this to Banna and Kamlesh, and they can send that checklist separately. So I won't go through this. It already, Kamlesh has already been through that. So when I said I do a wider whole thing, this is what this is me, what I do. But today, it is to arm you with the knowledge. It is to arm you with confidence. And this is the one thing I want to impress upon. It's not just the knowledge. We feel our confidence is shattered, and it only needs one scam to feel that way. But we have to be strong, and we have to be confident that when we are in control, that's when we won't get scammed, or it'll be very difficult for that scammer to try and scam and take any money. But the important thing is to help you recognize and avoid these scams and report them. Because sometimes what happens is it happens to us and we're embarrassed. So instead of actually telling someone, hey, this happened, please make sure you know about it, you think, oh my God, I feel so silly, it's happened to me. please don't. Please share that, because the more people know, then the more people will be able to be saved from these, these scammers. So just some very high level figures here. These are some really shocking statistics. Over £2 billion worth lost to scams in the UK each year, and that's slightly gone up. And it says there, 1 in 15 adults targeted by scammers on a monthly basis. Panna and Kamlesh and I were talking earlier on, and both of them are still getting these, these delivery scams. Can you come and, we've tried to deliver this, or can you click on this link and let me know where to deliver, and I'll go through all of that. And the average loss for over 65 is £1,100 per incident. So, but there's, good news is that these can be prevented if we're aware, and if we, and if we can make you all aware of this, you'll think, oh, hold on a minute. So the key thing is, what can we do to stop it? I'll go through this very quickly because I want to get onto the types of scams. But typically, scammers often use senior citizens, as Kamlesh alluded to earlier on. It's because technology, and not everybody, I'm not saying that the elderly generation don't know how to use computers and laptops. They do. It's just they're probably not that familiar with some of the technicals behind it. I mean, and they're the ones who have probably over the years, through their work, their life, they've accumulated property, and they're more trusting. Some of them are living on their own, so they're isolated, they're lonely, they don't have people that they can talk to quickly straight away. And as I've said, probably more less familiar with the technology that's around. We all know that, that I'm sure it's been covered in the wellness, the health programs, that we sometimes have these we say cognitive changes. We have memory losses, and some of it is, you probably are aware, dementia and Alzheimer's and all of that. And once that starts happening to you, you are not going to remember half the things that you think you do. And so this is what the scammers will hone in on. And they may not know, but you won't even realize you're telling them things because it's not something you're aware of. That's just one of these, unfortunately, horrible diseases that people do get. Remember, being targeted is not your fault. That's one thing I want to get across. It's not your fault. These scammers are professional criminals, and they are exceptionally, I use the word talented, but in a negative way, in how they manage to get this. So that's the key thing. Not your fault, okay? But you can avoid it. So the popular scams, the phone scams. Okay, now I'm going to talk about it. The newer one that I'm going to talk about is a phone scam, so I'll talk about that later. But phone scams, typically they'll ring you on your landline or your mobile, and they'll start talking to you, as oh, what about this? And they'll get to know you. The important thing here is what they do is they make out as if you know them, and then they start talking to you. And because sometimes of a generation, if we are on our own or lonely, you start finding that you start talking to them because you build that trust in them without realizing. Before I go on, how many people has that happened to? How many people would you say of you that have, just put your hands up or put in the chat, although I'm not sure I can see the chat button, so you need to let me know. But how many of you have actually come across where you've had that, someone started talking to you and all of a sudden they've become your friend?
I have had that problem.
Yeah. Okay, Vasu, you've had that problem. So people, and then has something happened to you as a result of that?
I was going to, but then I realized that somebody's trying to scam me. So I stopped it.
Good.
But
no, that's good.
Yeah, they did try to scam me. They said, you owe so much money, and can you pay this money? About the car insurance, they said, you haven't paid, can you pay £2,000?
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't have any problem with the car, so I stopped it.
No, good. And good. I'm pleased that you had that confidence to do that. But you get, like you say, sometimes you'll say you've won a prize, but in order to get that £2,000 or £10,000 prize, you've got to pay £500.
Yeah.
That's, you know, oh, if you give me £500, I'll give you the 2,000 or the 10,000, and you think, no, that's not how you win a prize. So yes, absolutely. Kanchan, you've got your hand up. Was that to say yes, it's happened to you, or you wanted to say something?
How can you stop this scam now?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Ras.
Hi.
Yes, I've been called several times asking for the bank details, my card number, and my private personal details, which I will never give. They says, your bank, I'm ringing from your bank, and they need all this. I said,
Yeah.
send me an email.
Yeah.
Or send me a letter.
Yeah.
And they try so hard for vulnerable people, elderly people, and who are on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this you have to be careful to whom you are talking on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I will say, having been in the banking industry and worked for them for 40 years, a bank will
Never
ask you your bank details ever.
That's very true. Yes.
Right? They never, ever, ever ask you your bank details. So just be aware. I know, and in the 40 years, I've never, ever come across anything, where we've asked for bank details. They never ask for bank details. They don't even ask for your name. They will give the name and say, can you, and they don't even, the way they do the security is they ask you different things that are not related to your bank account at all.
Do. Yeah, they do.
So,
they go around to find out how much you know and how much information I can give them.
Absolutely.
But thank God I didn't give anything.
No, that's good. That's exactly what you should be doing. Bear with me a second. I'm trying to get the chat up so I don't miss anything in the chat. Right, where are you? Okay, that's fine. So yes, you get people that will say, can you give me your bank details? Or some of them will frighten you, say your bank account's been compromised, right? That means someone else has got details of your bank account. A bank will never ring you and say your bank account has been compromised. What they will contact you and they'll try to talk to you. They'll ask you to go into the branch before they give you that news to say your bank account's been compromised. Okay. Or they will go through a whole security line of questions. So when someone says someone's got hold of your bank account, just say, oh, good, fine, and put the phone down. Don't even entertain that phone call. Don't carry on with that phone call. So just be careful. Another, I say it's not new and it's not been happening as much, is you get a phone call to say so and so, your son, grandson, child, whatever, partner, is stuck in a different country, need your money to get out. They really need you. And sometimes, they will say, sorry, that your whoever the person is that's related to you, they can't come on the phone because they're being held somewhere. Those are a classic one as well, where they'll say someone, they're stuck in the country, they can't get out, can you send the details to this account so that they can come home or get somewhere? If they are genuine, that person will call you, right? And you will know if that person is related to you from, and if you do get that kind of phone call to say, I am your son or grandson, you'll know their voice. But sometimes, that we talk about AI and deep fake, where they can take your voice. You can ask them questions that only you and that person would know. And that's when you can identify if that person is genuine or not. So you might know things about them. They might know things about you, and then you know it's genuine. Okay. So that's on the phone.
Hold on a second there.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I seen a hand go up from Uttam, and I just wanted to pause there to see if you had something to add. Uttam, did you have something to add?
Well, yes, yeah. It's only this evening's news in BBC Wales, actually.
Yeah.
They mentioned that the scam last year was £9 billion in a year. 9 billion. So that's a very big number compared to what you have stated.
Well,
but more importantly, they have been targeting pensioners with the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah.
And they were mentioning a few case reports on the television only about half an hour ago, and it's quite frightening because we are all elderly, and you, as you mentioned, isolated people.
Yeah.
And they were scammed by the to because the government has been giving £300 to the elderly people if they are eligible, and they are trying, and the scammers have been trying to get hold of that money, you see. And again, and quite a few people have fallen for it as well, you see. And with our elderly population, I think they need to be protected in that respect as well.
Absolutely, Uttamba. Yes, you know, you're spot on. The thing is, you know, some of the figures that I hadn't updated, so it's interesting. It's gone up as much as that. I wasn't aware that it had gone up as that, but the fuel one has been going for a while now. And one of the key things that they're doing, I'm glad you've raised it, but one of the key things they do is, we know that if you living on your own, you get a certain amount, and if you're living together, you get a certain amount. And what these scammers are doing is saying that because of your illness, or because you've for whatever reason, you are going to get more. And in order for you to get more, you need to complete this form or click this link so that you can get more money. Automatically, we're going to do that because you think, well, yeah, of course, I want that. But that isn't the case. The government has set a limit. That's the limit you get. There is no other extra money that you would get, because the government have stipulated people living on their own or wherever they are, depending on where you live, and if you're living with another person, you know, that's so that you won't get more money by going anywhere else. So just beware of that. Whatever you get into your bank account is what the government have stipulated, have said. Okay, so just be aware of that. And thank you, Uttamba, for raising that. Email and text scams. We've talked about this. Emails, I think when we spoke about last time, be aware. Don't click on any links that they send. And when you look at the email address, make sure it has that @ sign. Sometimes some email addresses don't have the @ sign, but the @ sign needs to be there. Also, it's very difficult for me to explain when you don't use you may not use your laptops as often as some people do, but it's identifying, you know, are there any typos? Is there any within that email address, you know, an underscore or a particular sign that doesn't always fit into an email. So look at the email sender's address before you do anything with it. Okay. And if it says click on this link, and if you don't understand that email or you don't know what it's about, then don't do anything. Try and find someone, whether it's a relative or a neighbor that you can trust, to say, do you think this is genuine, if you don't understand it? And that's important. And I'd say the same with text messages. And things like, you know, parking meters. You might get it, because nowadays everything, it's very rare to be able to put a coin into a machine to park. Everything is it's one of these apps, which is difficult for some of the generations, the elderly people, to have an app to try and, use this app to pay for your parking. And sometimes you get that scam if they know, and they get this app and saying, oh, right, hold on. You need to be clicking on this and clicking on this. And so be careful when you get that text. If you've got an app for all the different parking companies, then you will have a password. And when you're in the vicinity of wherever you are, it'll come up with where you're kind of around, and they say, is this where you're looking? And you put your details in, and sometimes it picks it up if you parked there before. So for example, if you're at a medical center or a doctor or a hospital, if you've gone there quite regularly, then they will have details of your car registration number, because you've probably paid there before, and you can just click that, go in. If it gives you anything else, then think twice, because some of it isn't new, so you will have to put the details in as well. And the one thing I do say, now, this can be a little bit challenging, but if you have the card will be, when you are paying for parking, your card details will be on that app, because that's the way they take the money. There are times when I would say change your card if you need to, or take it, purely because it avoids sometimes someone being able to access the details, because if it's taken off, they can't always go back to that card. But my other thing is that if you keep changing your card, it's going to be a bit of a hassle. But you will be putting your bank account details on your card on those parking apps. So just do be careful that when you are doing that, just kind of be conscious of that.
Rasmita, can I just to reiterate at some point?
Yeah.
So Rasmita made a very good point, and I just wanted people to make sure we fully understand that. When you receive an email, look at the sender's email. Rasmita mentioned, looking at the @ sign, looking for typos, looking for anything unusual. And if you're not sure with emails and say apps or text messages, please ask your family members, because don't feel you've got to press the button. I know I'm talking from family members, personal experience. Family members have a tendency just to click because that's what they think is right. Ask your children if that helps. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And also sometimes what happens is you might be buying online and you've got that password. And I don't know if you're aware, when you do put a password in, on the top right-hand corner of your computer or laptop, it'll say, do you want to save this password? Never allow it to be saved. Press never, because that password then gets saved. And if these hackers are, that we've got are clever, they'll be able to get that password. So never save your password. Always try to manually put your password in for anything that you do. And so sometimes what will happen is you get an email to say, sorry, your password has expired. It needs to be changed. Sometimes they're genuine, but sometimes you need to be careful. If it's something, if you're buying online from outlets, they don't normally ask you to change your password, right? The only ones that do are maybe organizations where there is, like banks might turn around and say you do need to change your password if for whatever reason, but they won't send you an email with a link. They, you do it on the phone, you do it on your app, but you can do that or go into the bank branch to do it. And that's something I say to everybody when you have a bank account and you're using online facilities or you're using the phone. Change your password regularly. Okay, don't just, because I know we forget. I get it that you've remembered a password and you don't want to change it because you have to remember something else. But it's better to do that than to keep the same password all the time. And I know you've probably been told this. Don't use names of family members. Don't use their dates of birth. Don't use anything that can be related back to you or your family. Use something completely different that somebody would not know about in your passwords. And often what happens is you might say, I don't know, I'll just use a password just for benefit of this. You might put phone scam 1 and then you change it 3 months later, phone scam 2. Don't do that. Change the word and everything completely. Okay, and try to put those, the exclamation mark, the question mark, and those kind of things, the percentage sign, put those things in as well, because that then stops it. What does happen often is when you are asked to put a password, an automatic password is generated, and it's like an 11-digit number, and it's really complex. I personally don't like them because I like to have my own, because I like to remember them, and I'm not a big fan of writing them down. But sometimes those passwords are good because they're very difficult to actually get into. But you then need to remember it. You would need to write it down and save it somewhere for you to put it in. But they're good because they're kind of lowercase and uppercase and signs here and this and numbers and letters and everything. So it's not a bad thing to use one of those because they are very long and very complex. But I don't want to complicate it for all of you. So just be aware of that. The other thing is in an email, very quickly, often it happens, but you might get dear customer. That's very generic. If they know you, they would say dear sir, dear madam, dear whatever your name is, right? If it's dear customer, it's either someone trying to sell you something or they're trying to find out more details. So just be conscious of those. I'll move on if there's no questions. Online shopping scams. I think you're all aware of these. Just be careful in terms of when you are buying online. If you use a card, if you use PayPal, whatever the case may be, make sure that you have that security password to go in. There are some shopping online outlets that don't always ask for a password. I would be careful and have those, always put a password in. It does sometimes, they do give you the choices, but everybody, we all buy online, okay? And just all I'm saying is just be careful. Once you buy once, they will automatically come up and keep advertising, okay? So you're aware. I don't know if you are aware, if your phone is anywhere nearby and you happen to be talking about something, notice the next time you get an advert on your phone, it'll be about something that you've been talking about. And that's how good this, well, I say good, that's how clever these kind of programs are in the background. I might be talking about a holiday and all of a sudden I get these adverts from holiday companies. So just be conscious of that. Investment and pension scams. Do I need to talk about this? Because I know that a lot of you are aware of this. And I know that this has been in the news a lot. But the only thing I say is don't invest in any pension schemes or with anybody that you do not know about. Recommendation is a very good way to look at any investments or pension schemes that you want to be part of. Some of you may already be part of them, or but look at them, go by recommendation and do your research. Don't just don't just think, all right, it sounds really good. If they say like you do this and it can grow, you invest 5,000, it will grow to 30,000 in 3-4 months. Ridiculous. It's not possible. So think of the things that they're actually saying. Is this really possible? And so be careful. And cryptocurrency, those of you probably not aware of it, but that's a classic one where they try to say you invest in this and you get so much back. Be wary of all of those kind of scams. Please do shout if you've got any questions. Yes, because I know I'm talking at pace. Door-to-door scams. I think a lot of you are aware. I would say people will come to the door. They'll try to sell you something, but more importantly, I would not open the door unless you are, look through the window. It doesn't matter if they can see you. Don't open the door if you are not comfortable with who that person is. Because this is how people then can get in. But the scams are that they will start selling you things. And nowadays, what happens is, in the old days, you could just give cash. If you used to get these door-to-door people who'd sell you things, and you think, yeah, I'll buy that brush or that duster or whatever the case may be, and now they all use machines. They've got these these freestanding card machines. I'm like, how are you able to even do that? But this is, sometimes they can be card readers. Okay. So you might say, yeah, I'll pay by card. I'll just tap that. But they may be a card reader, which means it takes your details. So be conscious of door-to-door scams. Has anybody got questions on the door-to-door scams? Is there anything that you feel you need to ask me? I think Kamlesh has asked, has anybody been a victim of an investment or pension scam?
I think, look, the purpose of this is, as Rashmi has said, is to sort of recognize and avoid, right? So the more we share with each other of real life experiences, the better educated we become. So hence the question, it doesn't have to be of investment and pension scam, but they're the big ones, I think. But if there's anything else, please just say, yeah, and
Yeah.
let's help each other out.
Yeah. And the other thing, charity collectors, they'll always knock on your door and you don't know where that money's going. So be conscious of that. Or sometimes what happens is they'll say, all right, we're working in the area. We noticed your roof is not, I can fix that. Or your driveway, notice that the stone isn't, we can fix that. Don't do any of that, please. No door to door. Do your research. Ask family, ask friends, and ask for recommendation if any of that, if it needs doing, because that's a classic for them. They'll come in and they won't do anything, and next thing you know, they've taken your money. Okay. Parking meter scams, I've kind of talked about that already when we were doing the phone scams, because it's very similar. I would say that when you nowadays you can't even put your card in anywhere, so that is limited to a degree. But before, what used to happen is sometimes, and this used to happen with the ATMs where you get money throughout the banks. Some scammers will put what we used to call a roulette. It's called a roulette wheel in the banking terminology years ago. And they'd put this little reader at the back, and you put your card in, and your card stays in that little bit longer than it should because it's reading the card and kind of cloning it. And parking meters were doing that. So in a way, the parking companies have also become a bit more aware of what's going on, which is why you now have to pay via an app rather than using your card. So it's very rare that you can put your card in and pay for parking. And then postal scams. Kamlesh and Banana, we were all talking about this just earlier on, and this is still happening. You still get an email or a text message or a WhatsApp to say, we tried to deliver this, you weren't in, we've taken it back to the depot, can you please click on this link, and we will then deliver it to another address, or we'll deliver it in time. Please don't do that. Nowadays, most of the delivery companies will give you a tracking number, and you can track where your parcel is. It's through that secure, I say secure, that you can actually put in where you want your parcel delivered, whether it's safe place or neighbors or given a different date. They don't they don't always take it back to the depot. What they do is they will always try 3 times. The classic is 3 attempts. And then after that 3rd attempt, they will send you through that whole, the message they've originally sent you in terms of that we're going to be delivering. You get that we're going to be delivering between 10:20 and 11:20 or whatever case may be. They'll say, we've sent it back to the sender, not to the depot, the sender. So for the likes of DPD or UPS or whatever they may be, Every or whatever, they don't take it back to a depot, because what happens nowadays, they've got contractors, people that they use, even Amazon, to deliver these things. So they don't have a company as such, they're individuals that deliver. So they send it back to the sender, and then you deal with the sender to say sorry, and they will send it back again. There is no depot as such to send it back to, so don't believe that. Okay. And this is becoming more and more. People are just falling for it, thinking, because sometimes so many people order so many things online. You think, oh, did I order it? Oh, I might have ordered it. But if you don't know and you can't remember, let it go. Doesn't matter. It'll come back, or they'll contact you another way. So don't feel that, oh my God, I've lost. I should have got that and I paid for it. You will get it back if it is genuine. Okay. So don't fall for that. Is there any questions on that?
There's a couple. There's a couple. I'll read them out for you, Rasmitha.
Okay.
So I wanted to sort of invite Catherine Olivia to. She's mentioned money transfer agents and money transfer agents firm scams. Are you able to sort of elaborate on that, Catherine?
We use some transfer agencies to send money abroad.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, I'm not sure how they do it. They will use your information to send money, or someone will hack in. I don't know how it's done and how we can safeguard that happening in the future. But they will use your card because it's your information. They keep it because you are using them regularly, like every month, to send money abroad. So they kind of keep your information, so that each time you go in, you don't have to put in your card details. But I've fallen a victim recently, actually, because someone went and transferred a lot of money. But I wasn't aware of how they did it, but I was just in my bank account. The only good thing was that it was still pending. But if I had not checked my account, I would have lost a lot of money.
Okay. Before I answer that, Uttamba, you've got your hand up. Did you want to say something on that before I answer that question?
Not on that specific thing. I just was going to mention about the parking meters. Lately, I've read quite a lot about people putting the QR code.
Yeah.
onto the parking meter, and this separately attached QR code is a scam actually, because it sends you somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if people need to look at the machine and see if there's anything attached to it, if you're going to use the QR code. That's all what I was going to say.
Thank you. Thank you for raising that. It's not something I expect people to do, but when you look at a QR code, there's certain things on it, and without showing it to you, and I'm sorry I don't have it, I can't tell you what you would look for, but sometimes those scammers will put a QR code on top of the old one, and you can see that, which you can, if you were to able to peel it off, you'd be able to see it, or you can see the thickness. These are the kind of things that I would probably be aware of. I'm always constantly, when I'm walking, I'm always looking at things, and I'm always suspicious. But yes, the QR codes, I would say always try to use an app. Don't try to use a QR code if you can help it. Some of those QR codes are genuine. Don't get me wrong, they're genuine, but some of these scammers will put their QR codes on. So thank you for raising that, Uttambai. But I would always say use an app if you can. Try not to use the QR code. Thank you. Now, Catherine, just to let you know, when so like money transfers, Western Union, etc. What I would say is they do give you the option to say, can we, do you want to save your card because you're going to do this regularly? And you might have inadvertently or subconsciously said yes because you don't want to keep putting the bank account details in. I would always say no. If you give you put your bank account details in, it'll go to wherever you want it transferred, wherever the money is going to go. But often you get that message to say, do you want to save it because you're making regular payments? It's easy for us to just say yes, but I would say no. Always try to put your bank account details in every time you want to send the money. I know it's a bit more time and problematic and a bit of a pain, but I'd rather do that than, because once they've saved it, they've got it on their system.
Okay.
So don't get taken in by that. I'm one of these ones where if they say, can we save your password? Never. And the moment if I do anything, I'm constantly changing my password. Even on my phone, I constantly change my, I've got biometric. So I say to everybody, if you have got phones that can use the thumbprint or the iris or the face, use that over passwords, because they protect you a lot more. Yeah, so I would just say that. Is there something, was there someone else?
No. It was
No?
me. It was me requesting that if people have questions to put them in the chat box. But I
Yeah.
have a question for Catherine, actually. Catherine, did you use a money transfer firm that was, one of the high street ones, a Western Union, or was this a new one that was promoting itself on cheaper, commission rates, etc.?
No, actually, I've used this since 2018.
Ah,
It's a known one. It has never happened, but this week it happened.
do you know,
So,
would you mind telling us who the company is, Catherine?
a Sendwave.
Sendwave.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to say, I've not heard of that one.
Well,
Okay.
it works it sends money all over Africa and
Okay.
I think South America as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
You see, Western Union and people like I say the genuine ones, and Western Union can be, I'm just being careful, is that people can't get a hold of the money straight away because it gives you a password, it gives you a reference number. So whoever you're sending it to also needs those details with their ID before they can get the money out. But I have to say, I'm one of these ones. Why don't you use your bank account? I'm not asking you directly, Catherine. I'm saying to everybody, use your bank accounts. It's far safer and you're protected, because if anything goes wrong and it's gone through your bank account and you've done it genuinely, then you can get that money back. Sometimes these money transfer companies don't always guarantee and secure.
Yeah, the thing is, because it's like at the other end, people use mobile money because they have the accounts and all. So it's been a very convenient method until now. Yeah. But now, after listening to all this, I have to rethink.
Yeah. if you've used them all the time, then change to something else, change to Western Union, change to another one, or try and use your, I know the banks often take a bit of a cut, but at least you've got peace of mind that it's getting to the right place. And some banks, and and these are the mobile banks, they're not your big banks like HSBC and Barclays and all that, but some banks, what they do is do a similar hybrid. So you go through the bank account, but they can actually then at the other end transfer that money into a Western Union type facility, and then and then they can let the money out, because not everybody has a bank account in certain countries. We know that. So what they do is the bank account, they do the transfer, and it goes into a correspondent bank account, as the terminology is called, and that correspondent bank will then transfer it to a Western Union style organization with all the references, and whoever you're sending it to will be asked to provide identification, photo ID, and details of their address and what have you, and they're given a reference number that they would have provided. So that reference number is not open to everybody, and how much they're expecting, and that's when they give the money. So there are banks, and I would say online banks, that do that more than the bigger banks, but that facility is becoming available more and more. So check that out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's okay. Right. I'm conscious of time, so I want to get on to this one.
I was going to ask you that, Rasmita. What in terms of, we've got quite a lot of ground to cover, and we're sort of nearly at the hour mark. Do you? I know you've. What else you plan to cover? Because I've got another question for you as well. As you covered types of scams, do you want to talk about the 3-second scam?
I do, and that's the next slide. I want to cover this. I do want to cover this,
and then we'll come back to the question that we've been asked. Okay.
Right. So this is called the hello trap. I'm calling it the hello trap, and it's a 3-second scam. I've tried to put it on there because I was actually listening to it today properly, and I'm just going to go through the scenario, okay, so that you know how it works. And I will send you a link to the YouTube that covers this in detail. And so Kamlesh, I'll send it to you, and you can then pass it on to them. So this is what happens. Your phone rings and you pick it up. Naturally, you say hello within the first 3 seconds. And I'm going to say to you, don't say anything within the first 3 seconds. Sometimes you'll get that reader to say it's your son, your daughter's name. If you know who it is, that's fine. But if it's a phone number that you don't recognize, or there's nothing coming up as a private number, don't say anything in the first 3 seconds. That's even clearing your throat. Don't say a word. So even something like nothing in the first 3 seconds. If you hear nothing at all, and then another 3 seconds have passed, and you have not said anything, so that's 6 seconds by then, you're fairly safe. Put the phone down, nothing's happened. However, if you happen to say hello in those first 3 seconds, and I've said do not make any sounds, wait for the other person to say hello. They might say something like, hello, are you there? But the word yes, what it is, that word yes, these scammers have this program that word yes then sends a message to this scammer's whole big computer and record your voice with your number. So if they say, is there anybody there? Don't use the word yes if you don't recognize it. You can use other words other than yes. You can say, who am I speaking to? Say things that don't have those 3 letters in. Yes. Okay, so who am I speaking to? Who would you like to speak to? Something like that won't, because the computer has been programmed, the scammer's computer, whole big setup, is programmed to only understand the word yes or hello or a voice, a voice noise in the first 3 seconds. Your second 3 seconds is when, and if it's genuine, someone will say, hello, is somebody there? And you don't say yes, you say, who do you want to speak to? Once those 6 seconds are passed, you are fairly safe, okay? Because the computer only has a certain time for them to pick up your voice. What then happens is that if you do happen to say hello, or if you've said something and your voice or whatever noise you've made, computer, I say computer machine, they've got this whole system, record your voice and marks it against your telephone. That's called live. And what that means is that that scammer has managed to get your voice and your telephone number into a system, and they then sell these telephone numbers across the world. And that's when you get those phone calls, scammer phone calls. If you have not said anything in the first 3 seconds and you've not used the word yes in the next 3 seconds, you are safe. They can't do anything. And what will happen is they'll just put the phone down because the computer will click off. So that's a very high level explanation of the hello trap. I've called it the hello trap. But I will send you this, and please listen to all of it. It goes into details. I don't want you to be frightened by it because you think, oh my God, I must have said hello so many times in these phone calls and what have you. They don't always capture it. All I would say is check. They don't always capture whether you've said hello or not. But going forward, think twice about saying. So just count to 3. We do 1, 2, but don't say it out aloud, obviously. Count in your mind 1, 2, 3. Nothing's happened. And then you get 4, 5, 6, and somebody will say something. Don't say yes. Don't use the word yes. It's that word. You know how often you get that click and that matches, when you try to match something, that word yes matches it to a computer and links it to say, right, we've got a live case here. And they sell this. And that's how you get scammed. So this hello trap, it's not new as such, but people weren't aware of it. So I am going to ask you the question, how many people know about this hello trap or the 3-second trap? While you're thinking of it, I've got a message to say, what about passwords app for Apple phone? Is it safe to store it? Yes, we have. Android has one. So yes, saving it in there is fine. But what I would do is download that into your computer every so often. So if anything, if your phone or anything goes off or gets hacked, you've still saved it somewhere else. Okay, and you've got the details. So I hope that answers your question. So it's Vijay, not Vijay. Anybody that's come across this, the hello trap, were you aware of it?
Sounds like it's relatively new.
I've only just heard about it, I think this week.
Okay, Marilyn, as in, have you heard about it from somewhere else?
Yeah, I think I read it on something. I can't remember what I read it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pleased that you are aware of it. The key thing is
Sorry, I really don't answer the phone at all. And is that a safe thing to do? If anybody's I said, please, if somebody's giving my number to somebody else, because I tend to receive a lot because of what I do. And I said, ask them to message me. I will not answer unrecognized calls. So I always do that. Yeah.
Perfect. That's really good. But also when they do message you, be conscious of where you're getting that message from. Because they might say, here's my number, call me.
No, that I don't do. They'll always give the name of the person who I know who they have recommended it to.
Right.
And so
okay. That's fine.
I'm actually anxious, very anxious. So I'll double check.
Yeah, that's fine. If you don't answer the phone, they can't do anything. Yeah. That's great. But sometimes we have voice messages, don't we? We'll have a recorded message. Sorry, I'm not available at the moment. Can you please leave a message? That's I'm saying there is no harm in that because you haven't used the word yes. But it does happen and what I do, if you are recording those kind of messages, say, sorry, we're not available at the moment, all of that, do it after the 3 seconds. Don't start talking in the first 3 seconds of that message that you're recording, right? Wait for the 3 seconds. In fact, wait for the 6 seconds. And then start recording, hello, this is so-and-so, or don't even give your name. Just say, sorry, we're not available. Please leave a message. But do it after the 6 seconds. 3 seconds to be, safe, but 6 seconds to be absolutely safe.
Okay.
Is there any more questions on that? Probably people are thinking, oh, my God, I've said hello so many times. I'm one of these ones where I wouldn't, if someone rings me and I don't recognize them, I never say anything until they say something, and then I'll put the phone down.
How do I find out is a hollow trap?
You won't. The one thing I'm saying is that it's only when you get more people trying to scam you, or trying to send you emails and trying to send you phone messages or text messages. But the thing is, I'm saying is when you pick up the phone, don't say hello in the first 3 seconds, and don't use the word yes in the next 3 seconds. So I would say, to be safe, in the first 6 seconds, don't say anything.
Okay.
The person on the other end might say, hello, is somebody there? Your automatic reaction is going to be yes. That'll happen in the second 3 seconds. Don't say yes. Just say, who is speaking? Who are you wanting to speak to? Just don't use the word yes. It's very difficult. I know. I've got elderly mom, I've got elderly in-laws. You just don't say hello. In the first 3 seconds. Just stay quiet.
I think
don't even your throat or anything. They are these AI tools are very clever. They're good, but they're also bad. Sorry.
I've got a question.
Yep.
I have missed call. I had some calls which I can't recognize, so I never answer.
Yeah.
But they were important one. So how am I supposed to answer them?
When you say missed calls, they're important ones.
No, not missed call. Some like social services or doctors or somebody. Well, doctors is no ID, but they ring me up for physio or things like this, and I can't recognize the number. So
no, but they would speak to you, wouldn't they? They would, if you answer the phone and you don't say anything in the first 3 seconds, they're going to say it.
Even if I see the number I can't recognize, I wouldn't answer it at all.
Okay, well, but they'll always try to contact you some way. So
yeah, I hope so. I think in the past I have missed few. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, and it's that balance in terms of, it could be my physio, could be my doctor. What do I do?
Yeah,
if you want to answer it, just don't say hello. Let them speak first.
Okay.
And then don't say yes. It's 6 seconds. You don't realize I say it's only 6 seconds, but sometimes that 6 seconds seems a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it is only, it's that 6 seconds.
It's so easy to say yes straight away.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I keep saying, and I'm trying to instill in you, it's like you could put a Post-it note above your phone and say, don't say yes.
Say yes. Thank you very much.
Don't say hello. Don't say yes.
Thank you very much. You've been very good. Good tips you've given.
Can I ask?
Thank you.
Can I ask one? If the AI is going to be so smart, surely it's going to be expecting some different levels of phrases that people will use. And
well, at the moment, Vijay, there isn't. There is nothing that we can see. But when I show you, I'm going to share the link with Kamlesh and Panna. When you see that YouTube, you see. Okay. And just look at it. I've picked it out because it was only from there. I'm thinking this is a really good, because obviously we were aware of it, but I want that YouTube video will be a good guide on what you should and shouldn't do. But I just want to say, don't be frightened, because it does go into. When I looked at it, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm just conscious. So just look at it and just take it as a guide.
So how will we find the YouTube link?
I'm going to send the link to Kamlesh and Panna. They'll forward that on to, I would imagine, that have you got details, Panna and Kamlesh, of all the attendees that you can email or you can send, or how will you do that?
We send them out on our WhatsApp group and by email.
Fine. Then we'll
so I'm hoping the same way you got information about
this
call.
I've got the link. I might have it. Okay,
yeah. I'll send it on and you can do that.
Okay, sure.
So I think what I was going to suggest was, well, I actually was going to go back to something that the countryman raised, which is nowadays we all have mobile phones, or we have caller ID, right? So I know that on my phone, if you've got people that ring you regularly, you've got their ID, you know who's calling, and my phone typically tells me of suspected spam calls.
Yeah.
So if they see a number that's unusual, it tends to highlight it. It gives you a bit of a clue, right?
Yeah.
So and so the point is, just be careful when you see that. And if you know, expect typically government offices, social service, etc., if they're going to call you and they will tell you they're going to call you between a certain time,
Yeah.
and the caller number will be withheld. So you've got a bit of an idea. So
Yeah.
this is for unusual things that sort of come up.
You see.
And everything's digitalized now, so you should get a few clues. But
Yeah.
it's good just to be aware. And I just wanted to raise that. I think we can never keep up to date with what scammers are going to do, because they're always going to reinvent themselves.
No,
but I know
exactly.
that banks, phone companies, they're trying to help protect us all the time.
Yeah. This YouTube video I'm going to send the link to, actually also, if you've got an iPhone or an Android, it tells you in what to do in your settings to actually take away those, those ID calls, and how to stop those calls coming in. So that's why I want to send you that YouTube video, the link, because it covers that. It tells you how to put that in your app so that those ID calls are filtered for you. So just follow the instructions on there, whether you've got an Android or whether you've got an iPhone. It covers both.
Thank you. We'll share that with the audience.
Yeah, please do. I think that video is very, very important.
We'll do that. Now,
thank you very much. You've been really good.
We've hit the hour mark, and we've got so much still yet to cover. Should we? Are you going to do your checklist, or do we come back to the strategies and the checklist for next time? What would you like to do, Raz? Because I'm guided by
you all. I mean, the checklist is this.
Yeah, let's put that up, because that's really useful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is it. Why don't you go through that? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So this is a checklist, and what I would do is, when you, I know this has been recorded, but just take a copy of this, or to, I don't know, take a picture, and I would have it as a, not laminated, but have it printed so it's there all the time, that because you forget, and it's constantly on your mind. Unexpected contact asking for money or personal details, don't do it. Pressure to act quickly. You've got to do this. It's a really good prize. If you do it now, if you don't do it now, then you're going to lose out. All of that is pressure. It's scam. Requesting for unusual payment methods. Can you send the money this way and that way? And can you go it through this bank account and you think, too good to be true offers. We talked last time about, I think I know it's really funny, but I think if I remember correctly, it was about toilet rolls and how you got a good deal on this, and it turned out it was a scam. Poor spelling and grammar. So look at the spelling, and now you can do spell checks. If something doesn't look right, then just check it. Refusal to provide their credentials. And what I mean by is refusal from the people that are asking for them to give you. You ask for details and they don't want to give it, or any contact information. That should be a key sign. And then emotional manipulation. If you don't do this, we'll do this, and all of that. Don't be frightened by any of that. But that's kind of the checklist that I would say you would go by. And then we've got just the 4 golden rules. Simply to say safe, slow down, because scammers always create urgency. Verify independently. Always check through the official channels. Sometimes your website, even the government website, you've got to be very careful. But check through everything carefully, and ask a family member or a friend that you trust. Never give personal details unless you initiated the contact. But even if you have, I'd still be very reluctant to give any personal details. Always try to find out a bit more before you do, and trust your instincts. If it feels wrong, it probably is. Remember, if you've asked for something, or you've asked for something to be delivered, or something's going to happen, you'll get it eventually. Don't rush into it if you don't need to. I've got this. What do you do if you're targeted? But I think these are the numbers, which you're going to give, aren't you, Kamlesh?
Yeah, I'm going to give this information. What I'd like to do, if Rashmita, if this is okay with you, could I invite you back again next week, if you're available, to go through this, because we covered a lot of ground. I can see some people are sort of dropping off as well and leaving the call. I don't want them to. I'd rather we educate people. So I was going to say, let's finish off here. We'll come back to checklist again. Let's go through those 4 simple rules again next week. And then take off from where we are and get people's experiences as well. So I think it's been a fantastic session. We've covered so much ground. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we have. the objective was to recognize and avoid scams. I think the good thing is a lot of people here are aware of these scams and have seen them at play. So I'm glad we've been able to share that. What I took away was, for senior people, they are a bit more vulnerable because of the technology gap that they have. And we see about £1,100 is taken from, senior people regularly. So it's definitely something that we need to be aware of. What I also learned today is look out for emails and to look at the header lines from the sender for unusual typos, @ signs, etc. I think that's super important. The other thing I learned today was about passwords. You will always be given in your browser an option to save a password. Rasmita's advice is please don't click on that. Stay away from it. It may be easier for you to do so, but it holds you more susceptible to being scammed. So that's another one. And the new scam, the hello trap, don't respond with any words in the first few seconds, especially yes and hello. Okay, so we'll talk about that more next week, I think.
Yeah,
but
we can elaborate on that next week.
And I will send around to everyone this YouTube video. Let's have a look at that. We can talk about that next week. So once I've sent that link, we'll send that around and we'll go through the checklist again and the 4 golden rules, I think. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much to Rasmita for taking the session. Thank you all for participating. It's you that makes the session, all the participants, and you make this a richer experience for all of us. And on behalf of GAA London, thank you so much. We love having you guys on, and we love putting on these sessions. So we'll do another session on scam awareness, but we'll go into a deeper dive on that if that's possible. So with that, I wish you a good night, farewell, and speak next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just for that comment, I can't do next Thursday because I'm already committed. So I can do the following Thursday.
Following Thursday, perfect. That's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Take care.
Do you need me to stay on for a little while, Panna Kamlesh, or not?
No, it's okay because we've got another meeting now.
So I can log off. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.